So you're probably wondering why I've got a bit of a goofy grin on my face, and it's honestly because I have one of these Gullinbursti hoodies in my possession, and I'm going to review this and the crew neck that they sent me out, and I'm honestly really stoked with this product, and I think it's a really great addition for anyone in hot climates, and I'm going to tell you why, so let's get into it. So if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that I'm a pretty big advocate for things like road safety, taking responsibility for yourself on the road, making good decisions on the road and not being reckless on your bike, and really just using common sense. But one of the things I think a lot of riders experience is a bit of kind of common sense loss when it comes to apparel on the bike. And I don't always think that it's a deliberate thing. I think a big part of it is style, because look, we don't all want to look like Power Rangers on our bikes all the time. Sometimes it's nice to be able to get off your bike and look cool, basically. And I think sometimes looking good but staying protected, they're not always, you know, something that you can achieve with all the types of garments that are produced for motorbike riding. And that's kind of where Gullinbursti comes in. And when I first saw these hoodies and their crew necks, I was really stoked in the look, and I did a little bit of research and found out that they're actually pretty protective as well. The reason why I love Gullinbursti so much is because I think they do a really good job at marrying basically good tech and safety into something that's a little bit more casual but is still going to offer some level of protection on the bike. I think in hot climates, especially like the one I live in, which is in Queensland, Australia, I think there's a really big temptation for riders to forego safety gear or anything that offers any type of protection, especially in summer. And we're about to get into a really hot period. So we're in November at the moment, and it is going to get hot, and it's hot already, and it's definitely going to get hotter. And so taking layers off on the bike is a really good way to cool down, but it's also a really good way to risk your skin, like literally risk your skin. And that's where something like the Gullinbursti hoodie comes in. So the first one we'll go through is the hoodie, but a lot of the, I guess, tech specs that I'll talk about in this is also in the crew neck as well. There's actually probably a little bit more in the crew neck, but there's some slight differences, so we'll talk through all of it. So the first thing that I noticed about this, and you've probably seen some of my Instagram posts, is it has a front pocket just like most hoodies do, but the main difference here is that it's zipped, and it zips at both ends. So you still get the full pocket that you would normally in a hoodie, but it zips at both ends. And one thing I've seen constantly is people losing keys, phones, that type of thing when they put stuff in pockets that don't zip up. So it's really great that they put a solid YKK zipper on the front pocket on this particular hoodie. The next thing that I noticed is they've added, I guess they put heat shrink on all of their hoodie ends. And the main thing that this helps with, honestly, is locating the drawstring when you're on the bike. One thing I've found with some hoodies, and not this one actually, but some hoodies I find they can flap around a little bit. So sometimes you want to pull the drawstring in, and you want to pull sort of the hood in as well. So those heat shrink ends make it really easy, one, to find, and two, to then tuck down the front of the hoodie if you want to do that. So that was really cool. The logo on the front is really solid. You can see that it's a really solid heat transfer. So that's going to stay intact and look quite good, and really easy to clean as well. So the next really cool thing on the hoodie, and this is kind of where I guess the crew is a little bit thicker, it's actually made out of this completely, but the hoodie is reinforced on both the shoulders and the elbows. This is from Kevlar, obviously the brand Kevlar, who produce, you know, protective I guess, fibers and you know, they help manufacture this type of material. So it's got a, I'm gonna read this so I don't stuff it up too much. It's a para aramid fiber that is woven through these two particular panels. So that's what gives it abrasion resistance essentially, and it's tested to quite high heat standards. And so you can imagine the first thing that happens when you're in a slide is the material, yes, will start to stretch, but it will also heat up. And so that will give you some protection. It's not as good as wearing a leather jacket or, you know, something that's got full armor all the way through, but these pockets do take additional armor. You can add the shoulder and elbow pads as well. These are the normal, I think, CE packs. You can get those through Gullinbursti as well, and I've obviously got a set, and they fit in the hoodie really, really nicely. They're not too bulky, and they sit really well in the spots they're meant to. So that's I guess the addition with the hoodie that you get. You can reinforce those two areas. All in all, I think it's a really great idea. You don't see a lot of hoodies that are kind of targeted at motorcycle riders, especially, that have this type of reinforcement, and I think it's a really great investment, especially in hotter climates, or, you know, just in summer when it starts to heat up. I think something like this is much better than just wearing a t-shirt. It's quite cool on the bike as well. It is going to be a little bit warm, but again, I think you would rather have a little bit of protection on your shoulders and your elbows, especially because they tend to be those really high impact points. You'd rather have that than nothing at all. So that's kind of the hoodie. We talked about the pocket, we talked about the drawstrings, and we talked about the reinforcement in the whole garment itself. So now we're going to talk about the crew neck, which I also like, and I'll sort of turn it inside out and we can have a bit of a look at that as well. So I'll start with this one inside out, just so you can see it is pretty much the same, well, it is the same material that's reinforced in the hoodie, but this one doesn't take armor. This whole thing is made of that same material, which is obviously going to give you a lot of abrasion resistance. It's a little bit of a different style. I really like this. I've been wearing it quite a bit as well, and wore it to work the other day, and I basically got off the bike and took my helmet off and went straight into work, and it looks good as well. And I think that's the important part of these garments, is that you can kind of get on and off the bike and still look good and kind of not have a heavy jacket, you know, and all of that gear on that sometimes you know, kind of don't have a choice to. So this fits me really well. This is actually a medium, and it fits me quite nicely. I think the small would fit a little bit snug as well, but something like this I can still get over a t-shirt and it fits well. The hoodie is a small, so these tend to run a little bit small. So if you're looking at getting both, I would size down in the crew neck as opposed to, you know, your normal size in the hoodie. But like I said, this is full abrasion resistant material, so this is going to be a little bit tougher all over. But in saying that, like I mentioned, it doesn't take the shoulder pads or the elbow pads as well. So it's slightly different. I mean, this would look really great and probably be a good addition to if you've got one of those armored sort of vest situations where it's just got the armor in it and you throw this over the top. That would look really cool as well. Plus you'd have a little bit more abrasion resistance on top. Or, you know, if you're kind of just scooting around on the weekend, this would be a good option as well. And I think that's the important thing with any garments like this, is it's a calculated risk, right? We're all adults. We all know the risks of riding motorcycles, and if you're not going to put all your gear on, then you are taking a risk, and you've got to think about where you're riding, how you're riding, what time of day you're riding, and how that could all add up to, you know, potential risk on the bike. But I think these types of garments are a good step towards having protection, but, you know, still keeping cool and keeping focused, because overheating on the bike is a real risk when you're riding to your concentration. So I'm really stoked with these. Big, huge thank you to Gullinbursti for sending these out. I approached them and they said, yes, Ash, we'll send you some products. So I really hope this review's been helpful. I really hope you consider these because I think they're really well made, and the guys over at Gullinbursti and Ugly Bros really take the time with their products to produce something really, really great and super value for money considering what's gone into the product as well. So if you've got any questions, drop them below. If I've missed anything, let me know and I'll definitely get back to you. And as always, stay friendly, ride daily, and I'll see you next time.